Right, let's continue this league. 3 games to go. Will I do all 3 of them in one sitting? Probably not. 888 active players. Good for them. Recording this before the standard showdown on Saturday. Ideally, in an ideal world, which is a terrible sentence, I can get the bits before then. If not, I've got a bit of a long wait ahead of me to get this deck. Like, I love the deck, but the fact that, like, just Liliana of the Veil being $50 is just insane. It's like $200 for a playset of a card that might end up being, like, mediocre after rotation for whatever reason. I'm going to keep this hand. It's a bit slow, but with Sorcery Land and Artifact to get Delirium, we might be able to just start tutoring up stuff quite early. And it's a little bit on the risky side against a faster deck. But let's see what we can do. I think I'm going to fetch up Swamp. I think you always want to get swamps if possible, unless you're in desperate need for green. There's just a lot more swamp-hungry cards. Let's write down that. In the deck. Grasp of Darkness, Murder, Ruinous Path, Kalitas, Noxious Gearhulk. Then there is double greens. Like, just looking here, like Kalitas, Liliana, Mind Rack, Murder, Noxious Gearhulk. You always want to want. There's turns where you want like 3 or 4 swamps, so always get that. Lily's not a bad draw. Opponent went Game Trail, Revealing Forest, so who knows what this might be. This could be the 3rd Pummel deck. Interesting note with these lands: don't reveal if you don't have to on turn 1. Like, I know it's a small thing, but protect yourself if you can. Okay. Could we be playing Pummeler for the 1st time in a row? Let's put Lily down. Kind of get some presence, force them to act. Next turn we can go like Pilgrim's Eye into something, or we can keep Grasp of Darkness up if we see something like a Pummeler. Tomb of Aether. I guess the question is whether we're facing a Pummeler deck or the red-green Marvel deck. The Pummeler deck would be more optimal. The Marvel deck seems a bit harder for us to deal with. That to me indicates Pummeler. So I guess this is going to be taking out Liliana. I mean, it's possible that we could have kept up Grasp of Darkness there, but I'm not too upset by it. Like, they have no real combo piece out. I've just had to use one of the bigger pump spells just to kill Lily. Gets us close to Delirium. Play a tapped Quagmire. Play out Pilgrim's Eye. Again, gonna get a Swamp for reasons laid out before. Lightest more than Grasp of Darkness because I feel like the Servant's probably going to attack. We can block with Pilgrim's Eye. That gives us Delirium for artifact and creature. Then we can just start traversing for good things. Lafnu Hellion. Okay. So this puts us on Delirium. Question is what we get with Traverse, because we've got 2 Traverses. Ishkanar seems like the obvious one to just start gumming up the board. Noxious Gearhulk is another one that could just, take out another creature. Kalitas is a potential possibility. Ishkanar is also just... Ishkanar always seems like the best option, just because, like, even if you kill the Ishkanar, there's some spiders that add up surprisingly large amount. Mind Rack Demon's an interesting one. but I don't think we want to use that just yet, because I want to hold up Grasp. I'm actually going to Grasp main phase, purely too far off Emrakul for me to want to make that play just yet. We get Ishkanar now as a safe option because we have another reverse anyway. I'm going to Grasp now because this deck is full of pump spells, which can be used at any point. I mean, we could use the second Traverse now, but I don't see too much reason to. I played land this turn. I have. Next turn we can Ishkanar, see what we draw, and draw something else off that. Starting off with a Toon of Ether, so more energy production, but indicates a lack of threats maybe. Servant comes in, so no Lafnu Hellion this turn. What is the follow-up? No follow-up, that feels like that's good for us. Let's just dump down Ishkanar now then. Could be possible Ishkanar's going to eat Harness Lightning, but again, this is the great thing about Ishkanar is that just leaving the free spiders behind. You can double block a Servant, and with no pump, you kill it for the cost of one spider. Not going to Traverse now, I'm going to Blooming Marsh, get it in tapped. I feel fairly comfortable playing Mind Rack next turn. Yep, there's the Harness Lightning. So it's interesting to wonder what might be in hand. It could, because they haven't played any creatures, so it could just be they're just full of Harness Lightning, or it's combo pieces. Bristling Hydra, that is always the trickier one to deal with. Question is, do they attack with Servant in the conduit? So at the moment there's 2 counters that can go onto Bristling Hydra, making it a 6/5. No attack suits me here. Liliana's a nice one, because we can play that and Mind Rack Demon. Mind Rack is also a way to attack through, kind of offsets some attacking. What do we get in the graveyard? 6 cards, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. We can Traverse for Emrakul next turn. Well, Emrakul's castable now. We can potentially Traverse to get it if we draw a land. I'm gonna start like ticking the Hydra down purely because, again, if they're having to use their energy to give this hexproof, it just opens up more opportunities for us to kill it later. Whereas the Servant doesn't seem like too much of a threat anyway. Another Servant. And conceding. Fair enough, I didn't feel like we were that far ahead, but we'll take it. Okay, so... God, I can't remember what I sideboarded yesterday. So we're going to be on the draw. Grimflayer... Tireless Tracker actually seems a bit worse on the draw. I think we want these Pick the Brains. Don't think we want all the Lilianas. Emrakul seems slow, but it's just such a good way to slam the door. Not just Gearhulk seems good, Ishkanar seems good. I think we said Kalitas might be too slow last time. To the Slaughter seems fine. Ruinous Path is, again, it's like it can just kill something outright. It's just like, this is mainly like a hedge against like Long Tusk Cub. Against Bristling Hydra it's a little less optimistic. I think I definitely want the Transgressors. Could be Grapple is too slow. Vessel might be too slow. I think it's just Vessel gets you to Delirium so much faster. I guess if we're stocking up on things to do it too, let's try taking out the Grapples. I'm pretty sure I've just gone with 3 completely different sideboard plans for each 3 games. But, you know, I figure that why not experiment with all these things? Likely because like also the store I'm probably playing standard showdown at has a few people on red-green pummeler. So I mean the practice is good. This hand seems fine-ish. Like, we get early plays with Vessel, Traverse, Tudor Slaughter could be quite handy, Grim Flares, at least a 2-drop. I think I'm going to keep on the draw. I think the most sensible thing to do is probably Traverse turn 1 for a Swamp. No turn 1 play from our opponent is nice. Just want to get the mana sorted. Playing the Grim Flare turn 2 should be fairly useful. No red mana still. Long Tusk would be, yeah, the best thing they could have here. Another Grim Flare. So there's no signs of a Harness Lightning here yet. Which puts them in an interesting position, because if we can't fill up the Long Tusk with something, then we could connect with Grim Flare instead of our draws. If it just feels so powerful when you set up with Flare. For that reason I'm not going to block. Let them get the energy. Servant is the follow-up, so we might not be able to get through. Another Vessel. I mean, considering we've got another Grim Flare in hand, maybe we attack with Grim Flare and either we get the draws off it, or the filtering. Or they trade with Servant of Conduit and we've got Tudor Slaughter as an option. I feel like Pick the Brain isn't ideal. We could Vessel Grim Flare, but it also doesn't feel great. Don't know what we Traverse for, really. I like the Grim Flare plan. And also worth noting, our opponent is stuck on lands, so they might not want to trade their Servant of the Conduit off, as they're only access to red mana. Okay. So play and pass. Let's see what our opponent does. If they just attack for 2, I might not do anything just yet. I'll see if they sink some mana into it. Yeah, that was kind of the fear. I think I still want to pick the brain. Not pick the brain, Tudor Slaughter it away anyway. Like again, if they are stuck on mana, let's kind of punish that. Because drawing a way to deal with this, or kind of gum it up, helps us out a lot. It can currently grow to be a 5/5, which is a bit worrying. There's a second black source. Pick the brain. I mean, what's the most threatening thing that could turn out would be Mountain Lafnu Hellion. So I don't think we want to pick just yet, especially when we can get Delirium off the Vessel. I think I want to play a Vessel and activate it. Purely because it could find us some action. And it should also get us up to the Delirium. Well, it will get us up to Delirium because the Vessel itself will make it 4. And that means our pick gets better, that means Grim Flare becomes a better blocker. Means we can Traverse for like something. Opponent's still stuck on 2 lands here. So you have to imagine this is like Pump or something. Oh, this is a curious one. Blooming Marsh is tempting. To get that 5th land, Pilgrim's Eye could act as a temporary blocker. I think I like Liliana though. Just kind of put that long tusk up under pressure. It kind of diverts them away from the life total. Land was a pretty good draw there. Again, because this just means it's like they can still put 4 counters on this to kill Lily. But that's a lot of investment to basically expend their turn. In an ideal world, we would have an extra swamp open. I mean, we could play Vessel, but we can't activate it. We could play Traverse. I think Ishkanar is probably the target there. Not just Gearhulk could be a target, but we lack the 6th land for sure. And I think I just want to survive, because if I can start picking the hand apart, the longer this goes, the more it should favour us. So I think Ishkanar is the target. Is there anything else that makes sense here? I mean, Emrakul with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. With 2 off Emrakul. But I think Ishkanar just buys us the most time to take over. And this way we can actually also get that Vessel out, so we can activate that next turn, maybe. Another option, another thing open onto us is Grim Flare, Pick the Brain. Okay, so it looks like they're going to pump everything into Liliana. They played another land, but it was a forest, so it gets them closer to something like Bristling Hydra, which is problematic for us at the moment. So I think the Long Tusk is a pretty big clock. But Bristling Hydra could become a bit... well, if they play Bristling Hydra, it's only on 4. So it can become a 5-4 with 1 Hexproof activation. Pick the Brain could also take away a key pump spell. I think Pick the Brain and Grim Flare might be the way to go here. Oh wow, I'm pretty glad about that decision. 3 Bristling Hydras is annoying. So they've got 2 Incendiary Flows. That's actually a little bit worrying for us because this Long Tusk Cub is going to hit us down to 8, and then that's 6 damage if they find a mountain. Other things to watch out for: Bedlam Reliever. So Blossoming Defense is in there. Hermit of the Natanols is in there. Morphis Doorbuster. There's only 2 left, New Hellion. I mean, things we can learn from this is that Blossoming Defense is something we do need to play around. We need to play around like high impact or sudden death from things like Arling Cord pumping something. Morphis Doorbuster taking away a block we expected. Nature's Way is an interesting one. Gives us something to watch out for with Trample. Also important to note from this, no Uncaged Fury. Also no Electrostatic Pummeler. So this isn't quite Pummeler, but this is just red-green energy. Let's take the other Hydra. It's good to know about the rest of those things, though. Let's play the Marsh, let's play the Grim Flare. So it feels like if we can survive the Cub, we're in a good spot. I'm not going to block because getting in the hit with Grim Flare could be super important. Just setting up draws. Second Ishkanar, that's pretty handy. But yeah, ideally we want to set up this Grim Flare to be able to do nasty things. Graveyard, graveyard. Gonna keep that grasp. Could set up a block and so on. There is actually, and we didn't see too many ways to give Long Tusk Cub trample that can get through. The problem is, like, if I in some world could guarantee the Ingro Mountain, I'd potentially just try and block with Hissing Quagmire. But like, if they have the removal for it, then we could just die on the spot. Same with Harness Lightning. They could Harness Lightning, go to 4, or A for Hub into Harness Lightning, because they could have drawn Harness Lightning last turn. I think Ishkanar just is the safest route. Because if they have to... I mean, the thing is as well, is that it's actually threatens some potential blocks. Well, actually it doesn't. It gives us better blocks around a bunch of trample. Because just having the second Ishkanar in hand is like, okay, we'll play another one. Next turn we're going to draw Grasp of Darkness. And actually maybe we don't block with Ishkanar around trample, because next turn we can set up a block with that. Because ideally you want to hit with Grim Flare again. And set up more draws. Ideally finding an Emrakul should shut the door here. Right, so there's the red mana. Opponent has 2 Incendiary Flows, which represent 6 damage. 8, 5, 6. I'm gonna put everything in front. Although, the only trample we saw at instant speed was Nature's Way, and I'm fairly certain Nature's Way is a sorcery. This is definitely not the sound of me checking that online. It is a sorcery. So this can become 7. It could trample over for 5, it stands. Oh, Rush of Adrenaline, that was something that was in there. Does that give trample? It does, it gives +2, +1 in trample. So if it was Rush of Adrenaline, this would become a 7, it would become a 9, we would almost die. I'm just going to put all the spiders in front, I think. And keep Ishkanar. Because this currently absorbs all the damage. Opponent could also just like double flow something. Okay, they're just double flowing us. Well, they're flowing us now. Could be, they could have drawn like a 3rd Incendiary Flow. It isn't impossible. I mean, we don't have any way of gaining life unless... There's no way for us to draw like a Noxious Gear Hulk and play it. So I think keeping the pressure up matters. Murder's a very good draw. I suppose really we should Vessel first and then have attacked. Yeah, that wasn't ideal. We should have Vesseled first, because we might want that. We probably would have wanted to draw that murder. That's Vessel. Only Mind Rag Demon. So Mind Rag Demon feels like it offers enough protection from the Long Tusk Cub. It also really puts our opponent under pressure to play stuff out or not attack. Because at the moment we've got 11 damage on board and we can activate a Hissing Quagmire. can also activate an Ishkanar if we draw a land. What do we put in the graveyard this time? Evolving Wilds, Hissing Quagmire, Grapple, Grimflare. So I think... Okay, Sylvan Conduit's good. Longtusk Cub could attack, but it could also die. I think we actually double block. It can become, well, it becomes 8. Yeah, it becomes 8. Rush of Adrenaline would make it a 10 power. It would trample over for lethal over Ishkanar. I think unfortunately we might actually have to double block here. Like, we won't kill it, because I'll get pumped twice. But if it is Rush of Adrenaline, we just... If there's Rush of Adrenaline in hand, and we just block with Ishkanar, we're dead. Yeah, 7, 8, plus 2, plus 1 in trample is 10. I think we double block just to avoid dying on the spot. And if he double pumps, he can't kill. If they double pump, they can't kill both without a pump spell. And if we survive, we can play another Ishkanar. Grimflare applying pressure all the time. I assume, yeah, Mind Rack Demon is what they're going to take out. I'm not sure why opponent played Servant of Conduit before attacking. Incendiary Flash again. It's also they're trying to get us low. They're not trying to kill any of this, which to me indicates they're either trying to trample over with stuff, or they're trying to, or they've just got another one in hand. Is there any way we can attack with Grimflare here? Probably not, because if it's pump spell, we need to be able to block Servant of Conduit. I think what the plan is, we're going to play Grimflare. The F6 indicates no block here as well. I think we're just going to... This gives us the most defense. There's currently no energy. Is it just the third incendiary flow? Oh, Laugh New Hellion. Interesting. So there's some energy. Longtusk can become a 9/9. So the mana's still up for that Rush of Adrenaline. So Rush of Adrenaline on Laugh New Hellion means it couldn't kill through Ishkanar if we made that block. Longtusk can become a 9/9, which gets out a double Grimflare range. So I think double block, like this. I think this way we can't die to anything. I think we just have to try and kill Longtusk in response to the counter being put on. Ah, Blossoming Defense is what the last card is. So that's not great. Both our Grimflayers die. Laugh New Hellion, well, Laugh New Hellion doesn't live, essentially. Liliana. So options here are attack with Ishkanar, and then play another Ishkanar. play nothing, attempt the Hissing Quagmire block. Or Liliana plus Chump with Ishkanar. No, we can't actually do that because then Servant of Conduit gets attacks. We can't do the Hissing. Well, so our opponent doesn't have a way to kill Ishkanar. Harness Lightning won't do it. It would kill Hissing Quagmire, but we activate after attack, so we always have the option to Chump. The downside to the Quagmire plan is which is what I'm going to go with because I feel like it gives us the most chance to win the game. Like, if they don't draw something with Trample, we're good. They're doing something pre-combat. Attune with Ether. Okay, that is perfect because now we don't have to play around anything. Our opponent just... let's see if our opponent just attacks with Long Tusker, because it just dies to Hissing Quagmire. And then I feel like we're in a fairly good spot. We just need to close it out. Okay, that was ideal. And that was also a good draw because now we can play out Liliana. Minus Servant of Conduit because that means this can't attack him for lethal anymore. And keep up Quagmire. Also pressures our opponent to attack before Liliana starts doing shenanigans. This is going well. Blooming Marsh, but not a great draw. Like, Liliana can't actually get anything spectacular back for us at the moment, so I still just like minusing this. Again, I don't want to play Ishkanar out, the second Ishkanar out, until I can keep this Quagmire up, because at the moment the Quagmire is preventing any attacks. Playing out an Ishkanar and a Long Tusker will start attacking again. We can jump it with spiders. Also waste this Ishkanar. I suppose the other benefit to the Ishkanar, playing the second Ishkanar, is when you've got 3 spiders, you jump block with like one of them each time. And use that to like start draining. Opponent has paused here. And well, they've paused on their upkeep. They just kind of went draw go last time. Again, we're kind of relying on our opponent not drawing something with Trample, of which I believe there are 4 copies of cards that give Trample in the deck. Only 2 are Sorcery Speed. The other 2 are Instant. And again, that doesn't... I mean, Nature's Way actually just loses the game straight up. The only way for them to get Trample is flipped Arling Cord. Grasp of Darkness is a good draw. Helps mitigate some of that Trample fear. Lily still doesn't have a good target here, so... One more land and we can play a second Ishkanar and keep up Hissing Quagmire. We currently have the mana up to do the thing. Activate the what you call it? Ishkanar ability. It's only 1, but it could add up. Second Servant. So this means they are going to build up more attacks. I think our best draw at the moment is Emrakul. I would say Noxious Gearhulk, but Noxious Gearhulk has the downside of not getting around Blossoming Defense. Ooh, Transgress the Mind is an interesting one. Let's transgress before doing anything, because having our opponent having two potential attackers is complicating matters. Okay, so mountain, blossoming defense. Still just going to minus a servant. So, our opponent taps. They attack with everything. We can block something with Ishkanar. We can block something with Hissing Quagmire. But something can get through. Yeah, so here's the problem. I also think I forgot to activate Ishkanar last turn. We might just be dead to the blossoming defense. If we just hold up grasp. Because if we try and kill anything now, it gets blossoming defensed. Yeah, in hindsight I played this wrong. When I saw the blossoming defense, what I should have done is instead of activating Liliana, I should have grasped of darkness something with Liliana the other one. Because if we try and kill one now, the blossoming defense in response stays alive. If we try and do it on their turn, they can pump the other 7 on the conduit to make it a 2-2, which kills us. Because they'll just attack with everything. So I think... So our options now is that we could grasp a servant, make them use blossoming defense on their turn so they can't do the attack for lethal plan, but then again, we're dead to any pumps or there. Or we can just play Ishkanar out for more blockers. I think, unfortunately, we... Okay, or our opponent could have us in a faded position and just concede. I feel that our opponent should not have conceded there. Because they have us dead in a variety of ways. Like, they've got a lot of draws that just get us. Let's play another game. Will we play red-green again? Who knows? Probably. Will I figure out a coherent sideboard plan? Probably not. It's weird, I'm not sure how to feel about that matchup. It feels like we've been favoured in all of them so far, but it just feels like that deck is just got... It can be really tricky and problematic. And again, I feel like I actually put myself in a really bad position there. This hand is slow but good. We've got an early grasp, we've got a Grim Flare. Traverse can help us set up a turn 3 Liliana. Opponent went to 6 and scryed to the bottom. So we have no option but to lead with Hissing Quagmire. Prairie Stream. This could be Spirits. If it's Spirits... Ooh, that was a nice draw. I don't think I want to stumble against Spirits, so I'm going to just fix our mana now. This allows us to potentially play turn 3 Liliana, which is really quite problematic for them. Getting ahead on board, taking out Self Spirit too is nice. Getting ahead on board against Blue-White Spirits is quite important, because if they can no, that's not what I want to do. If they can control the board, it helps them out so much. Because once you start forcing them to have to play on their turn, it can get pretty tricky for them. The main fear here is Gideon. But again, hopefully they have to just play something out here, because if they just hold up Spellquell, we can just grasp at end of turn. Like Liliana, like given enough time, will trump Gideon. It's possible. Nothing from the opponent. So let's see what they do. Let's see if they just play Gideon out. They do nothing. I'm gonna attempt to grapple with the past here. Tireless Tracker could be a fairly decent threat. Gives us some card advantage in the late game, gives us potential blocks. I just like getting the 5th land to secure being able to do things like Ishkanar though. Decisions. Let's play this one. So, we've got a whole host of things we can do here. We can play Ishkanar, but a lot of these decks now run Revolutionary Rebuff. Which is just a massive tempo loss for us. The Ishkanar is the only thing that gets around Spell Queller. We could play Grimflayer and hold up Grasp of Darkness. We could also traverse for something. I actually like traversing for something. Let's see if this draws like a negate or a Spell Queller. It draws a nothing. With that in mind, let's get a backup Ishkanar. Let's play this. Now let's play a Grimflayer and hold up Grasp of Darkness. Grimflayer also resolves. And this could get Stasis Snared. Yeah, Stasis Snare. But yeah, like we haven't seen any Queller, no Gideon. Feels like we've got our opponent under pressure because they've got to do something about Liliana. And if they tap out for Gideon, we'll just Ishkanar and Liliana will survive because they have no pressure on us. And eventually Liliana will just take over the game. I'm going to keep up double grasp here because that Lily ultimate is so important. And I want to be able to kill anything that's flashed in. There could be 2 things flashed in here. Well, there could be Avacyn. You can kill that without protection. Yeah. Okay, blue-white flash. Blue-white flash. Blue-white flash. So, natural state and appetite for the unknown are good ways to interact with Smuggler's Copter and good ways to interact with Stasis Snare. Mindrack Demon is not fantastic. Kalatas isn't fantastic. These things just get eaten by a Spell Queller. Or they will just get Reflectomaged. Tudor Slaughter seems like it. Tudor Slaughter seems good to get deal with Gideon. Flame Tendrils only kills like Fraben Inspector. Flame Tendrils kills Fraben Inspector. It kills Selfless Spirit, and that's it. Obnixilis seems decentish. Just in case, like they might sideboard into things like Thalier's Lancers to get big things like Bruna and like Brizella. I also like Transgress the Mind for this reason. Tireless Tracker just seems a bit of a liability. Ruinous Path seems like a concession to Gideon that needs to be in there. Too many things, too many things. Appetite for the Natural, is that maybe going too much? I don't know, there's likely at least 7 to 8 targets. Vessels seem important because we would need our early plays to do work. Grasp seems important. Grimflayer seems important to land on turn 2. Pilgrim's Eye might be a potential one to get out. I mean, maybe the Nixilus is too slow. I need to submit a deck. Okay, kind of ran out of time there. So yeah, I got distracted by something. B, you'd think I would have a better plan in mind for this. I'm not sure what to cut. This hand doesn't seem keepable because we only can cast one card in it. Mulligan. This is like not optimal, but we do have Traverse, and we have some early options after that. I do like keeping Natural State on top. No turn 1 for Raven Inspector. Traverse, get a Swamp. This seems like a much harder matchup on the draw. There is Smuggler's Copter. Emrakul, you were not the draw that was required here. I'm going to Natural State Copter now, just because there is potential for something like Frayed Inspector and Revolutionary rebuff, and if I can kind of slow them down, that's what's required. Hissing Quagmire was not a bad draw there. This indicates Spell Queller. If they want to flash it in end of turn, that's fine. I'm going to try and grapple end of turn. No Gideon turn 4. Let's grapple and see what happens. Because we can, if they just play the Queller out, we can always grasp it on our turn. Play the grapple, find a land. The sheer amount of thinking time that's being dedicated to this makes me think there's a Spell Queller in my future, but not. I would quite have liked that Traversal Vessel, but I guess I'll take an Ishkanar. Liliana seems like it's definitely going to get killed. This might just walk into a Spell Queller, but I think I can also see my opponent questioning the value of Spell Quellering Pilgrim's Eye. If this resolves, this isn't the worst thing for us. We get the 4th land. So Spell Queller comes down for that. I mean, the main fear is opponent slams Gideon now. Although it looks like potentially Archangel Avacyn is being held up. Yeah, that indicates Avacyn to me. So let's pass the turn, see if Avacyn gets flashed in. If it does, grasp it. It doesn't, so that indicates potentially more Spell Quellers. 6 mana up now. Let's try and grasp this at the end of their turn. See if this gets quellered. If it does, the plan is to draw a land in Ishkanar and hope they don't have the counterspell for it. Okay, that's good. That gets us. Wondering what's in our opponent's hand. It could be stuff like Stasis Snare and. Because like Gideon, it feels like Gideon would be put down, Frayed Inspector would have come down. Avacyn feels like it would have come down. So our opponent could have lots of land and removal, I guess. This feels pretty good for us. It could be. It also could be counter spells. I feel like we have to go for the Ishkanars though. We've got 2. Yeah, there's rebuff. But you know, we've got 2 Ishkanars. I just don't. No, we probably should have attacked there actually. We've got 2 Ishkanars. so we can cast the other one. We also have the potential of recurring an Ishkanar with Liliana. Opponent hasn't missed a land drop all game, which does give some credence to the theory of lots of lands and removal. They could have another counterspell in hand, although it looks like they're not going to. Reflect a Mage Pilgrim's Eye. That's bold. Let's maximise this turn. Let's get down Ishkanar. We'll find a way to deal with Gideon. I'm going to traverse for Noxious Gearhulk, because that is some stabilisation. It's also a way to deal with Gideon. It gets around Revolutionary rebuff. It gets around Spell Queller. The only counterspell I can think of is if there's like Cyborg Scatter to the Winds. The one I'm mostly worried about, that I can see being there, is Summary Dismissal, because they would bring that in for Emrakul. But then again, if they bring that in for Emrakul, that gives us options in terms of this is also giving even more credence to the All Removal hand. If they use Summary Dismissal on Noxious Gearhulk and then they don't on, say, Emrakul, that's good for us. Counterspell. Ooh, Ob Nixilis is also not a horrible one. I mean, Summary Dismissal is the worst case scenario here, or some kind of counterspell. Your option is Pilgrim's Eye Liliana. Pilgrim's Eye can jump in front of Gideon. It gets us closer to Emrakul. Liliana dying also gets us close to Emrakul. Fixes our land. Actually, yeah, I think I like this play a bit more. This gets us close to Emrakul, which feels like the end game plan. Because it's just a card that they can't deal with too well. I get Swamp. And let's try for Liliana. Lily resolves. Let's shrink Reflector Mage. See what our opponent does. We could see Avacyn flashed in here as well. Again, didn't flash in Avacyn. Could also be that they want to use Avacyn to protect something from an Noxious Gearhulk. But here's the thing. Say in some scenario Pilgrim's Eye and Liliana both die this turn, we cast Emrakul the next one. Ooh, no Gideon attack. That's interesting. Closer to Emrakul. There is one potential line to take here. Because at the moment, the thing I'm thinking is if there's an Avacyn in hand and they're using it because they know we have Noxious Gearhulk. So they could be keeping Avacyn in hand for us to play the Gearhulk and they go, aha, get you Avacyn. Don't gain any life, don't stabilise. But here they might just drop the Avacyn knowing they could attack Liliana down, which gives the idea of, hey, why don't you play Ishkanar instead. That's the thing, if Avacyn comes down, it does kind of like run into Ishkanar. I think I'm just going to shrink the Reflector Mage again and pass. Because we can also use Hissing Quagmire as a potential blocker for something. Because again, if Avacyn comes down, if they've got removal for Ishkanar and they play Avacyn, Liliana goes down, but then that guarantees Emrakul next turn. It also means they would have to waste a state. Well, I say waste. That means a stasis snare goes down on like Ishkanar, meaning there's less chance it hits Emrakul. Also, just trying to figure out what our opponent has in hand. Because you'd think that they will want to pressure Liliana, because again, like, it's just very difficult for this deck to beat that ultimate. Okay, now Gideon's coming in. This is still going to eat the Pilgrim's Eye. Very interested. There's also like potential things that are in hand apart from that Avacyn is like I feel like removal would have been used on Ishkanar. So it could be counterspells. Like one surefire way for this to all go wrong is for a summary dismissal to happen. I'm going to try for Ob Nixilis. So if I destroy a creature, Gideon or the Knight Ally has to get through, so Ob Nixilis will probably die. Like, Gideon can't kill Liliana outright here, so I think I'm actually going to draw. Transgressor's an interesting one. See what's going on. If there's a summary dismissal, these has to be used now or never. Okay, our opponent's actually just flooding out very hard. Okay, so new plan. New plan. I don't know, maybe I'm kind of talking myself through playing around too much here. But now, assuming they don't draw a summary dismissal that is theoretically in the sideboard, which you'd think it would be, we play Emrakul next turn. Let's see who Gideon attacks. Because we do have the option of saving a Planeswalker here. It's actually entirely possible that we just jump block with Ishkanar. Again, this deck can't beat Liliana. Ultimate. They are coming at me. I will block. What did they draw? Smuggler's Copter. So hand is planes. So I think we drop Emrakul. We get some stuff out of the way. The question is what we do about Gideon. Well, actually, Gideon can't really attack through... Yeah, Gideon can't really attack through Emrakul very well. I'm going to draw another card. This is risky, but... Oh, Natural State. That's pretty handy. 5 card types in hand. In the graveyard. Means we need 8. We've got 8. So let's resolve an Emrakul. Let's shrink a Reflector Mage. Let's Natural State a Smuggler's Copter now, so we can... I mean, we could always kill something else with it. We could always run into Emrakul, sorry. But this way, we can do some things. Let's say we draw a stasis snare. We do not. So let's kill a night token. Let's do nothing with Gideon. Let's pass the turn. If Emrakul lives, I feel like we get control of the game. We ultimate Liliana. We notch this Gear Hulk. Something away. Oh, is it Stasis Snare? Oh, wow. I guess that was the downside to drawing Vob Nixilis. I guess that's also a reason not to natural state. But I guess I mean you can play around that, but it feels like you shouldn't. I think on the play I favour pick the brains. I think I'll take out Ob. I think I'm also going to take out these grapples. I think we want to just, like, I feel if we can pick apart the key threats. And the key one is getting rid of that Gideon. Do we take out Liliana? Do we take out Nishna? Do we take out any of this? On the play I like Ruinous Path more. Let's take out one... Do I want to take out too many Delirium enablers? That's the thing. Man, I should really figure out how to sideboard this before I start playing games. Let's take out Pilgrim's Eye. This hand seems fine. I mean, by no means spectacular, but fine. Always happy to see no turn 1 for Raven Inspector. Play a swamp. Opponent does nothing. That's Pilgrim's Eye. Let's just continue to develop our mana. Here I actually am going to get a forest. Pilgrim's Eye also prevents any tempo hit from them holding a revolutionary rebuff. And then next turn they can hold up Spellqueller mana, but we can kind of like wait for them to flash hit something in and grasp. Evolving Wilds is a nice little land to pick up there. I'm going to attack with Pilgrim's Eye. I mean, sure they could flash a Spellqueller in, but that actually just does nothing but help us get Delirium quite quickly. It also means that the Spellqueller isn't eating something. Yeah, that's a strange decision. This also opens up the option for us to pick the brain here, which I think I'll do. This could take out a Gideon or something, or an Avacyn. Spellqueller won't be... Yeah, so her hand is Queller, Queller, Island, Island, Stream. So we get that Gideon out of the way. Next turn we can play Ishkanar. That just means the pressure from the Quellers just isn't there. That's Delirium for us as well. Now I will get swamped. Let's hope they didn't draw a Revolutionary rebuff. Summary dismissal. That puts us under some pressure. I mean, they can only Queller once. So I'm going to traverse. This will probably get quellered, because they know it can get Ishkanar. But hopefully then we can grasp in response. Or grasp the queller that gets a traverse. And we can actually play around Revolutionary buff. So the only thing that we can't deal with here is negate. Also, I now feel justified in playing around Summary Dismissal. There is actually another option here. We've got 7 mana in hand. We could get Emrakul. But that does rely on us drawing another land or getting something else into the graveyard, which would have to be instant. I think that just feels greedy to get Emrakul and hope to draw off it. Like, Emrakul would probably end the game right here, right now. And hopefully the second Ishkanar does some work. Fraven Inspector, it's not ideal. They can hold up Queller and Clue here. How much have I got? 7. So we can try and clear the way for Ishkanar if it's like a Summary Dismissal in hand. We'll take out something else like a Gideon. This might just get spell quellered, but this protects other things. Having a Transgressor Mind under spell queller can... It sounds like you can have some potential usage. I guess the question is like if they've got Decking Stone in hand. Like, we're not out of the woods yet. Like, certainly something like a Gideon puts us under a lot of pressure. Something like a Decking Stone on Ishkanar also makes life quite difficult. Opponent has 3 cards, we have none. And if there was an ideal situation here, it's like our opponent stasis snares Ishkanar and doesn't have an answer for Appetite for the Unnatural. Because then there's actually a very real threat of us just draining them out. But yeah, we're certainly only 1 or 2 cards away from them taking over. Especially when our opponent says in the chat, need to think sorry, which indicates they've got plenty of options. Like, I think what we don't want to see here is Decking Stone. We don't want to see... Thalier's Lancers would not be great. Selfless Spirit would probably be fine. Other things that might be annoying, Sky Whaler's Shot, if they play that. Oh, it is Stasis now, okay. So if they can't deal with us Appetite for the Unnatural Ling, that puts us in a good shot. Do they attack with the Quellers? Because if they don't, so that indicates there's something they want to transgress. So I'm going to try and... So let's try and grass this now, because we get to transgress. And if that doesn't work, then that should clear the way to Appetite for the Unnatural and get Ishkanar back. Perfect. So spell queller down, cast transgress, see what's going on. Ooh, Gideon and Linvala. Linvala make a 3/3, but that's not a worry. The 5 life doesn't really happen, so it's a 6 mana 5/5 flyer, which, to be honest, can be gobbled up by a bunch of spiders, because we're going to have 6 of them. So I like taking Gideon. The question is, do we appetite for Neonatural now? I think we do. Play around any potential counter spell. The other thing is, this means we have... it just feels like we can fall so far behind if we appetite for Neonatural and then like they drew another spell queller or they drew negate. Because like they could tap out here for Linvala, which means they're tapped out, which is always a nice position to be in. Linvala can't attack particularly well. And we can just start draining. Like, we're currently doing 6 a turn. Ooh, Vessel. I'm actually surprised. Vessels and... we could Ishnar drain. I actually just like playing Vessel here because it actually gives us the chance to resolve something quite strong. Or find Emrakul. Grimflare or another Ishnar? Frankly, I like having a backup Ishnar. Main card to worry about now is Decking Stone to take out the spiders. Ruinous Path. Don't feel like there's any reason to Ruinous Path. We can save that for Gideon. We can start draining because this is going to do 6 on their turn. It's actually a very quick clock when we're just 6ing them per turn. And it might force them to have to do something like... If they have to start tapping out, Ruinous Path gives us an answer to something particularly scary. Okay, so they're going to loot with the Copter. They're going to attack with everything. There's no pump spells in this deck that I can think of. So let's take out the Copter. Every spider goes in front of Linvala because even if one gets stasis snared, 5 damage still happens. Linvala can only kill like 2 of these. This is like one of the things that makes Linvala so Ishnar so amazing, is that because they're 1/2 spiders, they actually block so well in groups. Like, it's actually ridiculous how well they block in groups. Like, I'm trying to think what gets us blown out here, and it doesn't feel like much. That's like Linvala down. Mistake there is we should have activated this before all that damage happened. Not going to do anything here because it's like... It just doesn't feel anything threatening. Okay, so there's Stasis Snare. So Ishnar gets in the bag. Opponent still doesn't have fantastic attacks. Again, should have activated Ishkanar there. Maybe it's mind games and our opponent will think, ah, they didn't activate Ishkanar, that means they must have something. Opponent attacks with everything. Again, I just don't know of any pump spells in here. So let's just see if we can whittle down this board. Grasp for Darkness. Like, I assume the logical thing to do here is play Ishkanar. Second Summary Dismissal. Okay, feeling less secure about this now. Liliana, that's a fairly decent draw. Ooh, I'm gonna be brave. I'm gonna minus. And then realise that both Ishkanars have been exiled. Whoops. Okay, well, no matter. Not ideal, but we'll get Grimflare back. Grimflare can actually provide some pressure here. But that was bad. That was very bad. I forgot. I feel like that's wrong. It feels like we've played a bunch of Ishkanars, so I forgot that I think 2 have been summary dismissaled. Yeah, 2 have been summary dismissaled, and the other's under a stasis now. Opponent continues to not do anything. Let's tick the flyer down. Let's play that Grimflare. Let's play Hissing Quagmire. Hissing Quagmire also not a bad late game draw. Like, we've got Ruinous Path to deal with Gideon, provided it doesn't get countered. We've got Grasp of Darkness to potentially deal with. Avacyn flashed in. Reflector Mage. That's fine. Reflector Mage is Spider. Interesting. We still have 2 natural states to draw into as well, which is worth bearing in mind. Reflector Mage also means we can't punch through with Grimflare without using a Grasp of Darkness. Okay, I'm going to go for Emrakul here. We can hold up Grasp of Darkness with it anyway. Also, they've played 2 summary dismissals as well. It's possible they have a third. They don't. Okay. Minus Spell Queller. Let's not get fancy. Let's see what we untap and draw with, because we can eliminate their board quite well with our own influence. Hey, they concede. In spite of ourselves, and the second game felt like maybe that Obnix list draw was greedy. Right, 1 game to go. I'm going to pause for now though. That game went quite long. Interesting though. So one thing I noticed in this deck is like there's probably just miles and miles and miles of misplays that I'm making.